I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago! Oh my God! Kane with the overtime winner!
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6" Kane Cunningham.
Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions.
Well, you didn't think they were going to win them all, did you? I hope not. What is it about Cleveland that gives the Tigers the type of trouble that they've experienced this year? 7-1 against Detroit. Welcome, everybody, on a Tullymore Thursday. We're glad you're with us on X's and Bros. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. We are brought to you this first hour by Mitch Lyons Wealth. Final score, in case you missed it, 6-4. Cleveland able to hold on. Joe Adell's 2-run homer was the big blow. Boy, Framber Valdez. Who's the guy you've been wrong about?
Framber Valdez.
That's the guy.
I mean, I thought he'd be a lot better than this, and I was happy with the signing.
But you're not being hyperbolic here, right? I mean, this is just because he struggled last night. He's been decent.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the hard part because you can't say he's been terrible. But I mean, I think everybody thought he was going to be better than this when they signed him.
I think most people thought he would be an ace.
Yeah, like that, and that's
or a second ace. Okay, if Scooble was 1A, Valdez was going to be 1B.
100%.
Everybody wrote it, by the way. Don't feel bad if you were misled or you were tricked in this whole situation.
Getting paid more money.
Most people, well, yeah, we just brought this up yesterday. Kyler Murray's long snappers making more money.
Yes,
than he
it doesn't always mean everything.
It doesn't mean anything to me. What my issue is that everybody who saw this signing thought Detroit had the best 1-2 punch in the American League. I mean, better than the Yankees, better than the Mariners. This is what people were saying. Now, it doesn't mean that they're right. All I'm asking is, give me the guy you were most wrong about. And I'm not asking you to go way back in the time machine and ask for Jacob Turner. I'm talking about, recency bias here. And if you said Framber Valdez, I would understand that. He's 7-8. He's got an ERA of 4.26. The only time his ERA was higher than that in a single season was his second year in the league when he started just 8 games. He made 24 starts. This is a guy who last year gave the Astros 192 innings and 31 starts through 2 complete games, was 13-11. The whip wasn't great, but it sure wasn't 1.4, which is what it is right now. Walks, hits per innings pitched. He has not been anything close to what you thought he was going to be.
I guess the only other person I could have been more wrong on if it had to be like that was I did think that Justin Verlander was going to be a better part of this rotation. I don't know. Obviously, the injury is a part of that, but I thought they signed him because he was actually good at the end of last year, and he hasn't. Well, he's pitched in 1 game.
I don't think you're off base there. I think a lot of people felt that too. You didn't expect him to be a top 3 guy in the rotation.
No, 4 or 5.
Him as a. You looked at him as the 5th starter on this team.
Well, no doubt with who they had.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm all for that. I mean, I'm not telling you you're right because I felt the same way. We also understood that age 43, we were I think I said somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 starts.
Yeah, sure.
Before the season began.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Something along those lines. Last year, he started 34 games, Andy. The year before, he started 34 games.
That's why it felt like that.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, then you're justified in that. I'm not looking at just the Tigers. I'm looking at who you may have been wrong about in general. I was wrong about Terrion Arnold. I mean, that's the one that I'm going to have to wear for a while. I said going into last year, he's going to get when you do the segments in sports radio where you talk about give me your one bold prediction. Everybody does it. It's okay. It's not a novelty, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing either. Give me the one prediction. I said 2 years ago, going into last year's season, Terrion Arnold's going to prove he's the number 1 corner in the National Football League. Now, he's working out with teams like Seattle, who thinks he could be ready and somehow be available for a preseason game, which I don't understand how that's possible. But either way, Framber Valdez has been one of the bigger disappointments, not just because I was wrong about it. I thought it was a great signing by Detroit. I thought the money was a little extensive, but if that's the going rate and you're getting a really good left-handed pitcher to pair with what I would consider at the time the best pitcher in baseball, Tarek Skubal, that's debatable. Anybody who doesn't think that's debatable is crazy. And Casey Mize. And I thought, when you get a guy like Jackson Joe back healthy, I thought that was the making of some fantastic starting rotation depth. He has been as inconsistent, or hell, maybe he's been very consistent and consistently bad. And that's painful. I didn't expect him to win a Cy Young. I wasn't even necessarily thinking he was going to be an all-star, although when you get paid the type of money that he gets paid, you probably should expect that. But I am stunned at just how poorly he has been. And yeah, as I said, inconsistent. I think he's been very consistently bad. And I don't know how there's nothing you could do about it right now, unfortunately, but try and fix him. Because somebody said to me on Twitter last night, why is Valdez here? And my response was, well, that's an easy one. He's got 4 years left on a contract. After year 2, it's a player option. After year 3, it's a mutual option, I believe, which is interesting. I can't say that I've necessarily seen a ton of those. But yeah, he's going to be here for a while. So that's obvious.
And I felt like
if
after
you
his
don't
last...
think in 2028, if you don't think at the age of 34, he's going to keep a player option of $35 million, you're smoking some funny grass. I mean,
No
next year he's going to make $43 million.
And he came off 2 starts in a row where he went 7 innings. So I mean, I don't know. I thought maybe he was finally getting to a point where maybe we were going to start to see some of the guy that we thought we had, when they signed him. And it's obviously wasn't as good this time around. But that's why I did the daily wager too. So
and I would remind us both this: it's a long sample size. Okay, this is big, but it is only 1 year. It doesn't mean he can't bounce back from what he's experienced. I'm just stunned at how erratic he's been. He's always been a guy who's run around the plate and a ground ball pitcher. And he's just been terrible.
Yeah, it's not even like the home run he gave up last night. Sure, I mean, made a mistake, whatever. But before that, the walk, it was just like 4 straight pitches, and none of them were close. And then we've seen that.
Well, that's the
times.
key. So that's the key right there. The non-competitive, not just the walks. It's the non-competitive pitches.
Couldn't agree more.
Like you've got a guy in the batter's box, and they're spitting on your stuff as soon as it leaves your hand. That means you are not tempting them at all. Those are the things, those are the type of ABs or plate appearances in this case, because walk is not an at-bat. Those are the things that have surprised me most. It's kind of like watching Max Clark bat. The thing that has surprised me most is his competitive at-bats. He was in a nasty hole last night, late in the game in the 8th inning. Foul off pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch. He ended up striking out. It's an unbelievable at bat.
Yeah, 13 pitches or something like that?
Is that what it was? I lost count. I got caught up in just watching
Cade Smith came in with no pitches.
Cade Smith, Cade Smith he's got some wicked stuff.
Yeah.
And Max Clark just made him work. And you know what it did? Cade Smith will not be available for Cleveland tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I took him out today.
That's the whole thing. We'll dive a little bit more into that. Evan Woodbury of MLive is going to join us at 8:35. 7:35, some Lions NFC North talk with Jim Miller and former head coach Todd Haley. Great stuff. You're going to want to make sure you check that out as we get rolling on a Tullymore Thursday.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan on the east side. of the state, and Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
All right, back with you here on X's and Bros Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Hope you got big plans for the weekend. Excited for it, for sure. Hope you got some golf. I hate to think about it this way, but, middle of August, we still have a number of months
You don't
left.
have to say it out loud. It's all right. It's okay.
The summer months of golf is something special. I do like fall golf.
I do
you
too.
Like fall golf?
For sure. Yep. 100%.
Here's my frustration. When you've got some courses, sure isn't Tullymore or St. Ives, they blow the leaves off. How many golf courses do you play where you're looking for your ball and you're like, son of a...
most public ones, yeah, that you go to. It's just the way it
drives you nuts. I you know what a friend of mine does? He brings his leaf blower.
That's
he
impressive.
He brings his leaf blower to blow off the green.
Is it like a 2-piece one that fits in his bag or something?
No, it's still your regular leaf blower.
He just puts it in the cart in the back.
Just puts it in the cart. Yeah, where you put your beers, he puts his leaf blower.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and then when we're up on the green, you mark your ball and you blow the leaves off and give yourself a.
Now that would help a lot. Yeah, that's one of the worst parts about it. In the fall, I go expecting to lose balls. Actually, it's like part of the reason why you're like, I don't know. Every year for Christmas, I ask for golf balls. Just, in case it's
a good idea.
They right now they're adding up. I haven't lost enough this year that they're going away. But
which ones do you ask for? Are you particular?
I
Somebody asked me this yesterday.
I'm not specific. I mean, I asked for.
You'll play any golf ball?
I actually do like Kirkland's a lot and they're cheaper, so I'm not asking a lot of somebody. So that's the one that I kind of have asked for, actually. Like I've gotten plenty of Pro V1s and whatever else too from all the people that I've asked. I ask everybody for it, not just like Katie. I ask like my parents. I'm like, golf balls. Like
you're pretty simple.
Her mom still lives in Idaho. Sent me golf balls. So I mean, that's the nice part.
Well, if you're getting a gift, you might as well ask for what you want.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
If you want Pro V1s, which is what I play, and that's not a snobby thing. I've played Callaway in the past. The soft chrome. I just don't hit it the same. I don't mind Bridgestones, and I'll play TaylorMades once in a while, but I'm reaching in my bag. My bag is Pro V1s.
Golf trip's a couple weeks away. I saved the nicest balls I got for that. So when I go to that, I gotta have the nicest balls for that because it's the highest level of competition. Me and my friends. So
okay.
It might be on the Golf Channel that weekend. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to stream it live. By the way, White Sox were 5-0 winners over the Reds last night. So Detroit's 3.5 back in the division. Texas lost to the Angels again. Minnesota won. Tigers and Twins sit a half game back in the final wild card. The wrap-up is today. Keter Montero against Parker Messick. All right. Riley Green placed on the 10-day IL, strained hamstring. Corey Julks called up from AAA. He was hitting 273 there. And if you recall, that's a name that we kind of suggested earlier this year. If you're looking for a little bit of right-handed punch, he might be able to provide it, considering he was a guy who was on the 40-man and a guy who was has some big league experience, like 136 games or so, something along those lines. All right. Lions are going to open up the preseason tonight with a kickoff in Cincinnati. The Bengals are expected to play Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and some other starters, which is interesting, isn't it? That they would go that route.
Yeah, it's definitely some people wouldn't do that. So yeah,
I think a lot of people wouldn't do that. Russell Westbrook is calling it a career after 18 seasons. He retires as the all-time leader in triple doubles in a career with 209. How long will that last?
His record, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, sometimes with retirements, you got to ask if you mean like how long will his retirement last? If he actually retires.
How long will the record last?
A long time, I think. Right? Yeah.
No,
you don't think so? How quick?
Because Jokic got 198.
Yeah, that's
right.
Fair point.
So when you look at it in that regard, I would guess it'll be broken. Would it be broken midway point of the season? Do you think?
How
many triple doubles that Nikola Jokic had last year? Just guess.
Off the top of my head, let's see. There's 82 games in an NBA season. I guess he said triple doubles.
Yes.
I'll go 50 something.
34.
Okay.
50.
It feels like he
the
gets one
the
every
record's
game.
42. The record is set by Westbrook at 42.
Yeah.
So he had 34. Let's say he doesn't even come close to that, right? Let's just cut it in half. He still breaks it.
That's nuts.
That's good. It is nuts. Westbrook was also an MVP, a 9-time All-Star, and a gold medalist. So hell of a career for Russell Westbrook. He'll go into the Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah, no question.
Here's the Mitch Lions Wealth poll question. Andy's already tweeted it out, and I've retweeted. Which Lions player will you have your eye on tonight? Blake Miller, Seth McLaughlin, Ahmad Hassanin, or Nick Whiteside? Vote as often as you want at XB Morning.
I feel like the Cade Mays injury will change
in the
some
8 o'clock hour
answers. Like
somebody said to me yesterday, "Hey, I can't believe they got that kid from Ohio State." I mean, I said, he's an undrafted rookie, right? And they're like, "Oh, yeah. Well, he was undrafted, I should say." And they're like, "Oh, okay. I didn't know that, but that's great." I said, "How is it great? It'd be great if Juice Scruggs were available."
Yeah,
they traded for that dude. That dude was a
great.
second-round draft pick, by the way. We forget about things like that. We think, it's a new name, so we're all on board. But either way, Jim Miller, Todd Haley, 7:35. They are going to, it's a 2-day part for us, break down a couple of teams in the NFC North for us. It's going to be awesome stuff. They are phenomenal at what they do. I played golf with them at Tullymore and St. Ives about a month ago and could not have enjoyed the round anymore. Just down-to-earth guys. I mean, even though Jim Miller's got a Super Bowl ring with the Patriots, Todd Haley has been part of football for, 40-plus years, doing what he's done as a coordinator, as a position coach, and as a head coach, and now does outstanding work on Sirius Radio. They are as good a people as you'd want to meet. And Todd Haley, by the way, played college golf at Florida, which blew my mind. So
that's a fun fact right there.
Yeah. So being able to play with those guys was a lot of fun. So that's 7:35. Evan Woodbury at 8:35. Speaking of Evan, we'll ask him. Spencer Torkelson's been on a nice little roll here.
Sure has.
That's something. Forgot about that. Last 12 games. Before his at bat last night, 404, fifth in the American League in hitting over the last dozen games. 3 doubles, 10 RBIs. The guy who hasn't, and nobody is saying anything about it. Not that they should, because he's the best at what he does. But we're very selective on how we praise and how we criticize. Dylan Dingler is 1 for his last 23.
It's been a rough stretch, and that last at bat last night, I had a couple
3
of friends
pitch
text me right away.
He had no idea. I mean, that Cade Smith fastball had no idea what was coming. Obviously was looking for something else. I hate to tell people this. When a dude throws triple digits, sometimes baseball is a guessing game. And I think he's coming with what? Fill in the blank. Heater. Obviously, he wasn't looking heater there in an 0-2. He was looking for some type of spin, and he didn't get it. And then you just kind of hope. So I thought another interesting move was during the game, Framber Valdez in the 6th, 5 2/3. A.J. Hinch goes and gets Framber Valdez against Jose Ramirez, and he brings in Ty Madden. And I was thinking about that because we had a friend of ours yesterday comment on the stream about Ty Madden and why he's not starting and why Anderson is. And, we went through that a little bit. Madden got him, but he wanted to turn Ramirez around. It's a little thing in sports, a little thing in baseball. It sometimes goes unnoticed. He wanted to turn him around. Why did he want to turn him around? Because as a right-handed hitter against a lefty, he's batting .301. Against a left-handed or as a left-handed stick facing righties, Jose Ramirez is batting .208. So there's a huge difference between the two. A.J. Hinch went with the righty out of the bullpen, and it worked out. All right, when we come back, some strange comments made by a Big Ten key player. And someone doesn't believe in the Lions up front, but they sure believe in a couple of other positions. We'll get to all that and more coming up here on X's and Bros as we roll on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Mitch Lions Wealth.
Put your faves on repeat with new Meijer Subscribe. It's easy to add subscriptions with your Meijer home delivery or pickup order. From fridge and pantry to pets and paper towels, big, small, or in between. Subscribe to Purina, Pampers, and all your favorite brands. We'll shop as often as you like when you like. Just press set up a subscription while shopping and choose a frequency. We'll take care of the rest. New Meijer Subscribe keeps you supplied with what you need when you need it. Download the Meijer app to start a subscription with your home delivery or pickup order today.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
He's coming along well. He's had a great first 6 days. He's much further ahead than he was at the end of spring. He obviously worked hard this summer and did a lot of positive things, getting himself ready in the film room, on the field. And so far, through 6 practices, I grade him an A+.
Well, that makes that's Kyle Whittingham, head coach, University of Michigan. Are you used to saying that yet, by the way?
I'm not. And also A+ is pretty high praise, I think.
That's really high praise. Yeah, right on. He's got to it's not easy. I know he's a good kid. I know he's got the physical attributes at 6'4", 230 pounds, Bryce Underwood, to play at the next level. I don't like his throwing motion. I've never liked it. I didn't like it at Belleville. I called all the state championship games there. I thought he was a lot more mature on the football field than just about anybody else he was playing against, even as a freshman. He just looked the part. It is a completely different ball game when you're throwing against West Bloomfield compared to, when you were playing against, USC. So in a 31-13 loss, he sure as hell didn't light it up last year, did he?
No, and that's why
he did not make the impact that most people thought he would. Excuse me, especially the last game of his freshman season, in which he threw 2 touchdowns and 3 picks against Texas in the bowl game in a 41-27 loss.
That's where people, I think, have the hard time deciding between some of the comments he's made. Obviously, talking about being one of the best players in college football or being a Heisman Trophy winner and stuff. I don't think there's anything.
Best player at Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm think about that.
Michigan. Yeah, it's really
okay. Now we're not, with all due respect, we're not talking about Northwestern here. All right, Pat Fitzgerald might be the best player in the history of Northwestern.
The truth.
Pete Skoronsky, the offensive lineman for Tennessee. Either way, I'm just saying, for you to say something like that, if that's your goal, that's great. You need to preface it by saying, my goal is to be. Some people think today's kids are so full of themselves because so many people have patted them on the ass all their lives. Nobody's really kicked them in the ass. All they've been told is how great they are, rather than what you need to do and what you need to be. I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday at the gym, and his 2 sons were in the gym. Now, his sons are only 11, but they're high-end basketball players. And this guy works his tail off. He's on the treadmill and the elliptical for at least an hour every single day, just sweating. He's trying to get his kids. His kids are playing in these high-level travel basketball, trying to get them to, just get in the habit of working out. And they're off in the corner, and they're kind of hiding, and they already know their dad can't see him while he's working out. And he and I said to him, I was laughing so hard. I said, because I said to them, are any of you guys going to sweat as much as your dad over there? And he's like, thanks for looking out for me. So we just had a good chuckle about what kids are today. And he's like, I'm very real with my kids. You're not as good as that guy. You got to be better. You want this, you want that. Everybody wants it handed to them, but who really wants to work for it? And I'm not saying that's how Bryce Underwood is, because he worked really hard through Belleville and worked in off-season camps to try and make himself better. You just don't wake up one day and say, I'm an athlete and I'm going to get a full ride.
Or get looked at as that highly of a recruit, but it's the way, I think it's the way you deliver.
The number one recruit. Yeah, the number one recruit. But when you're sitting here saying, I'm going to be the best player at Michigan, and you need to check yourself, understanding that Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard, and Tom Brady, and Ty Law, and Anthony Carter, and Jabril Peppers, and Jake Long, and Jim Harbaugh, and Tom Harmon. We got Heisman Trophy winners there, and Braylon Edwards, and Steve Hutchinson, and you could Tyrone Wheatley. You could go on and on and on. Lamar Woodley was an unbelievable player. Mike Hart was a great running back. I would say this. I'm not saying he's a great NFL player. J.J. McCarthy was a hell of a player in Michigan. It can change so quickly. You are not going to be mentioned with those names of Tim Biakabatuka and Brandon Graham, and even Denard Robinson and Amani Toomer and Devin Bush and Chris Hutchinson and guys like that, Aiden Hutchinson. You're not doing that when you're performing the way you did. Now, somebody said this to me yesterday. They said, well, he's only a freshman. I said, hold on a second. You can't play both sides of this argument. that I deserve all this money in NIL, and I should be able to hop from one school to the next over a 4 or 5 year period. And I should be on commercials, and I want you to come interview me before I even thrown a pass at the collegiate level, and then turn around and say, I'm only a freshman, you know. You're making millions of dollars.
You also
there
can't
are
say
men out there who have established long-running companies that are giving a crap load of money to a university to make sure you stay in that uniform.
Amen
And by
to
the
that.
way, you might take it and leave. So you can't have it both ways.
You can't say the comments you said the way he said it too, like the way you're saying he's not prefacing it correctly. Like you can't say that you're the best player at Michigan and then have the game you had against Ohio State and USC and all the other games he played bad in last year and expect to not hear something about it. You know what I mean? At that point, you're asking for it.
Right.
So
nobody in Ann Arbor gives a rat's tail that you put up 63 against Central Michigan.
Exactly.
With all due respect, you and I are chips. But nobody cares about that. What they care about is what you're doing against Wisconsin and Washington and Michigan State and Purdue, maybe, and Ohio State, and then eventually Texas.
I was field level.
And before that, Oklahoma.
I was field level for the Washington game. That's when like I started to kind of be like, okay, like everything he said in the offseason probably doesn't mean much right now. He's got a long way to go. He's got a long way
the
to
Washington game was probably his best game.
Yeah, he played well that game.
21 of 27 for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He
had a rating of 174. That was his best game.
Yeah.
So you complete 78% of your passes in a game like that. That's when perhaps people, now it was the defense primarily, right? Because they only held Washington to, I think, 7 points.
Yeah, I just felt like that game stayed close for a really long time. And I felt like Michigan was going to pull away quicker. And you were kind of like, this seems like this is how every game is going to go this year. Because it's just not,
It's the pressure that a lot of young players, not just freshmen, young players have. So, for example, Arch Manning last year, and it'll be the same this year. Can be for most overwhelming. I can't imagine what would happen if I were a freshman and that happened. You know what I mean? Well, you're not them though. They're used to the pressure. They're used to playing in big games. They're supposedly thrive on it. They love this stuff, is what we've always been told. And it sure seems that way. I mean, look, how is it any different for Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal? It's not. In fact, it might be harder for them because A, hitting a baseball is just incredibly difficult. B, they're going up against guys who've been doing their craft for decades. Okay? They step in the box against Dylan Cease. That is not playing against a freshman linebacker at Nebraska. Okay? So I think it's a lot different in that regard. But this is what happens when, I tried to defend a little bit of Arch Manning a year ago, where you're not going to get, that dude is not going to be able to make any headway with any doubters unless his team wins the SEC, wins a national championship, and he's in the running for the Heisman. But that's what happens when you make as much money and you go to a program like that. It comes with the territory, right? Okay. That said, you would think after last year's season, in which he threw for a modest 2,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 picks, and completed only 60% of his passes, you would think he would have a little more humility. You would think after going up against Ohio State, one of the best teams in the country, and for sure the best team Michigan faced last year, and going 8 of 18 for only 63 yards a pick and a quarterback rating of 62.7, that he would have a better understanding of what that battle is all about. When he was on an NBC podcast, this is what he said about playing in quote unquote the game.
It's a blessing to be in, very physical. Like I said, it's all around taxing mentally. Physically, you got to stay strong mentally. You got to stay strong physically. You can't quit, can't give up. It's just another game, just with guys in a different color. That's how I see it.
So I love the first part of the answer.
Right. He started out good.
I have no idea what he said on the back end and where that would stem from.
You'd think if they're playing in that game, you'd have more respect when he got beat the way he got beat.
Yeah, but there would be more emotion, more
Also,
understanding of the importance of it. And maybe this is a bigger picture thing that I don't necessarily need to get into right now, and where college football is at and college athletics is at, where it doesn't matter quite as much. This is what I love about what Pat Fitzgerald is doing at Michigan State. He understands how big the game against Michigan is. He is telling his guys, reminding them on a regular basis how important the game against Michigan truly is for Michigan State fans. Michigan, whether you think it's right or not, at getting caught up against Ohio State, because yesterday we had Tim May of Ohio State on yesterday, and they think about Michigan. Now, is it the same way because you can lose that game and still reach a national championship? It can't be the same way that Andy Katzenmoyer played against them, right? There's no way. There's no way today's Ohio State Buckeye football family within those walls has the same angst against Michigan that Archie Griffin and Art Schlichter and Woody Hayes used to have against the Wolverines. Because it doesn't, from a schedule and from a postseason standpoint, it doesn't mean as much. Back then, you lose that game, you're screwed. Now, you lose that game, we move on. And we can still play for a national championship, a la 2 years ago for Ohio State. But they still embrace it. They still believe that this is the game that we love and the reason I came here. I worry. No, I don't worry. What do I give a crap? Michigan fans should worry that is not being emphasized enough. It doesn't mean you lose sight of playing whoever else is on your schedule, okay? I don't think Ohio State is losing sight of the Michigan game or losing sight of playing Ball State in the first game of the year or playing Oregon before Michigan by having a stronger look and a stronger feel for what Michigan is all about. Oh, we're looking ahead to Michigan, so we've forgotten that Indiana's next on our schedule. No, that's not it at all. But there is an understanding and a respect. Do I want to use that word? A respect factor for your team when they play a certain other team. That's the reason they call it rivalries. And my hope is that Bryce Underwood, at some point, I don't know when it would be, because you would think as a kid born and raised in this area, going to Belleville High School, being recruited by Michigan, going to the Michigan-Ohio State game as a recruit, playing it as a freshman, the buildup, the fact that you can't wear anything red or green in Schembechler Hall should tell you all you really need to know.
Yeah, I mean, people are using
Why doesn't it sink in?
People are using that for Kyle Whittingham, that, he wasn't, like, he's not from here. He coached at Utah all those years. That's why he might not have the same feeling. Well, for Bryce Underwood, you can't use that reasoning. He should care that much because he's from here.
I don't think you can use the reasoning for anybody. You
I don't
have
think
to
so either.
understand what you're getting into. I don't expect Kyle Whittingham to start referring to them as Ohio. I don't expect Kyle Whittingham to have the same fist pounding on the lectern passion that maybe Jim Harbaugh, even Brady Hoke, or others have felt. All right. But as we mentioned yesterday with Tim Flynn, Gary Moeller played at Ohio State, for crying out loud. Bo Schembechler coached alongside Woody Hayes. They were able to stir up that type of emotion, if for no other reason to make sure the people you're coaching or playing in front of every single Saturday believe in you.
Exactly. You just said it. That is so perfectly said. It is for in a way, it's for the fans, because you have to show that you hate them you don't have to show you hate them as much as them. But you have to show
you don't even have to use the word hate.
Yeah, I took the job. I don't like these guys. Yeah, that's it.
Look, there is a reason every owner. We said this yesterday with the interview with Sheila Hemp. Every owner, every coach, and every player says what they say about their fan base. We play in front of the best fan base in all of fill in the blank. AJ Hinch says it about the Tigers. Chris Ilitch says it about the Tigers and the Red Wings. Our fans are the best in the league. Well, that is no different than the brand new owners of the LA Lakers who are going to say the same thing that Tom Gore says about the Pistons fans. Okay. There's a reason they say that. Why? They know those guys pay their bills. The fans pay their bills. So they have to relate what the fans are dealing with and the passion that they have. All right. You ever seen the movie Friday Night Lights?
Oh, yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton?
Of course.
It's a great movie. It really is. It's a really good sports movie. One of the better sports movies I think you'll find out there. Miracle, I think, is the best, then Hoosiers, but I digress. When he's coming out of the grocery store with his wife and child, and those guys stop in a Corvette, Coach, we expect, they're telling him what they expect, and they remind him on a regular basis. And I'm not saying that's how it should be at various colleges, but if you don't know that, if Lincoln Riley doesn't know that USC is supposed to beat Notre Dame, he's got a problem. If he doesn't know how important the UCLA matchup is, he's got a problem. I think Kyle Whittingham knows how important the Ohio State game is. You can't have a pulse. You can't be around coaching as long as he has, even though he hasn't been in the state of Michigan or the Big Ten, and not know the importance of that game. He coached in one. He played in it. BYU and Utah. Coached at Utah, played at BYU. He understands the Holy War, right? Just because he's not pounding on a table telling you how much he hates Ohio State doesn't mean he can't appreciate it. But you sure as hell don't say it's another game with a different color jersey.
You can't go
That's
to
one
Michigan
of the dumber
that.
things anybody has said, because here's the problem with that. You can't take that back. That's now how every Michigan fan, right or wrong, every Michigan fan feels you feel about that game. So when you go out there and crap your maize and blue pants, they're going to say, see, you didn't care about it enough anyway. Because we heard what you said before the season even began. That's how people turn on you.
You better win. You better win if you're going to say that. You better win.
Oh, listen, the whole fan base is Talia Shire in Rocky II. And Bryce Underwood is Sylvester Stallone, waking up from a coma and saying, win. And then Kyle Whittingham's in the background going, what the hell are we waiting for? That's what it is, because of what he just said on a podcast. Think, man. Think. We're back after this.
Huge here for the Carmody brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Hey, summer's in full swing. You can watch all the Tigers games at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations. Also, the football season will be here before you know it. Lions, Michigan, Michigan State, Central, Western, Eastern, Grand Valley, Ferris, Michigan Tech, Saginaw Valley State, Northwood, and more on all the TVs all season long at all Buffalo Wild Wings in Michigan.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church.
All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride.
The Free the Machine Tour.
Part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride. August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements, this center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Get ready for the hottest Saturdays of the summer at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Now through August, we're dropping over $1 million in free play. Every hour from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 10 winners score $600 in free play. $1 Million Summer is back, so don't miss your shot at big summer wins. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Get a jump on back-to-school shopping with hot deals on Meyer brand must-haves. Stock up on school supplies. More than 40 items for $1 or less. Like Meyer 70-sheet notebooks, glue sticks, 2 pocket folders, and 10-count washable markers. Plus, save on breakfast favorites, like select varieties of Meyer toaster pastries, pancake mix, and syrup. All just $1.79 each. Good life quality and real low prices. Only at Meyer. Exclusions apply. See the Meyer app for details.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Okay, second hour of our program here on X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Touched a nerve with some via text. How does Dingler get ridiculed? He's 1 for 23, but that starting pitching staff has been pitching beyond great. Lots of credit to Dingler. Yes, I remember I did preface it by saying he's the best at what he does, is what I said. Obviously, he's an all-star. He's in the MVP conversation. He's the best at what he does. I just said he's going through a 1 for 23. And by the way, I'm not blaming Dylan Dingler here, but Framber Valdez hasn't been great. Will Vest wasn't great before he got hurt. Okay? Stop with the, everything he touches turns to gold. That's not true. You want to ridicule some guys for terrible play, certain slumps. It's okay. They deserve it. I'm not saying they don't. But he's not immune to it, is he? So let me just so I'm clear. You're only going to blame the pitcher when they're bad, but you're going to give credit to the catcher when they're good. Is that how it works? Really good piece by Chris McCoskey the other day. Did you read it? It's about the mental side of baseball that can take its toll on you faster than anything else. They were talking about Kyle Finnegan. How come no one's fixed Kyle Finnegan? I don't expect these people to be great every single night. I don't expect these people to be untouchable. All right? I'm real. I understand it. But just because when a guy's 1 for 23, is it not okay to bring it up? But suddenly because he's the best at what he does, God forbid. Right? I'm on St. Brown as one of the best in football. Am I wrong there, Andy? As a wide receiver, he's one of the best in football.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Everybody would agree. Yeah.
Did you complain about his drops?
Yeah, everybody did.
You're damn right you did. I mean, Jamison Williams went over 1,000 yards last year. Did you complain about his drops? Yes, you did.
Well, I mean, the drops, yeah, that's what makes Amon-Ra one of the best receivers in the league is he doesn't drop the ball, right?
Exactly. So. When Barry Sanders struggled in the postseason, except for Dallas, people complained about it. I bring up a 1 for 23 slump that Dylan Dingler is in, took 3 pitches in his last at bat, including a fastball right down the middle, and I'm at fault because I actually bring that up?
No, it doesn't sound.
No one gives him zero credit for helping the pitching staff. Bull roar, they sure as hell do.
No, you definitely weren't slamming him by any means. It's just it's what's happened in the last 21 at bats. You got to say what's going on. It is what it is. If to be fair, like you were talking about Torkelson too, it's like if that was Spencer Torkelson, plenty of people would be talking about how he went 1 for his last 21. I can promise you that.
100%. The difference is Torkelson's not an all-star. He's not a gold glover.
Or an MVP
and
candidate.
he will not be. He's not an MVP candidate, and he will not be considered one of the best at what he does. Dylan Dingler is the best at what he does.
Like I said, that at bat,
and part of the reason,
that was tough.
It told you that he's going through a tough stretch.
Yeah.
Look, just about every single player goes through a tough stretch. I don't care if you're Trout, Harper, or whomever. You're going to go through a tough stretch. I'm not saying bench the guy. I'm not saying he's overrated. I'm not saying any of that. I think he's properly rated. I think he's the best catcher in baseball. I think he's the Tigers MVP. I think he should be in the MVP for a discussion. I don't know. I don't think he'll beat out Yordan Alvarez, but I think he deserves that. I'm pointing out the fact that he's 1 for 23. And it's okay to point that out because you'll do it with Riley Green. You'll do it with Spencer Torkelson. You'll do it if a guy is struggling on the bump like Framber Valdez. Because why? Because you don't necessarily like them or they've done something that frustrates you. Riley Green strikeouts, Spencer Torkelson with the bases loaded, Framber Valdez with $38 million in his back pocket, even though it's really 22 this year. It's 43 next year in his back pocket, and his his whip is too high. Those are all facts. Shep, whoever got to Max needs to get to Framber. His attitude and body language is terrible when things don't go his way by his own fault. He even seems kind of pissy when players behind him make errors. But in all honesty, I don't think he can be changed. He is who he is. That is something I have noticed. I think that's an excellent point. Now, we don't always see the pitcher unless you're at the game because the television camera follows the ball hit to a player and then an error made. Kevin McGonigal with a throwing error last night, and then he made up for it after that. turning a double play and making a hell of a play. But anyway, we don't always see the reaction unless they play it back for us on TV. But I have noticed his body language, reading into things here, of course, like everybody does, it does not look great and hasn't looked great all year long, especially the 2 games, and whose body language would. The 2 games where he didn't even get out of the first inning. Shep, one of, let me see here, blah, blah, blah. One of the coaches, this is from our friend Freddie and his restaurant in Melvindale. Really good. I mean, outstanding pizza, by the way. One of his coaches comes into my place and says he should have started in the MAC or sat a year. He needs a lot of work on and off the field. That's regarding Bryce Underwood. I'll take your word for it. I don't think he was ever a MAC player, ever. So one of the coaches saying that, this is a brand new coaching staff for the most part. Any coach who says that is, I think, off base. There's no question he was a Big Ten talent. Now, should have sat and watched. I can understand that, but not the Mid-American Conference. And I love the MAC, and I think the MAC is a really good football, like high-end football. Not enough said about the Mid-American Conference, but to say Bryce Underwood, the number 1 recruit in the country, the number 1 quarterback in the country, should be at the Mid-American Conference level is probably a little bit hyperbolic. Shep, just wait till he leaves Michigan and tells the university he will sue them if they give out his jersey or play another player. Well, Jaden Daniels has just told that to LSU. You can no longer use my NIL, my name, image, and likeness. So that's an interesting comparison. So I don't know, man. It's such a weird landscape that has, I mean, we literally are off in space when it comes to college athletics. Off in space. Have no idea what's right or wrong, legal or illegal.
No one has a
frowned
clue.
upon or cheered. We don't know.
The
we don't know any
the
of it.
Wild West. That's what people say.
I don't know about you, Andy. I oftentimes wonder if I'm working for the NCAA and I work at their home office, right, which is in Indianapolis, right? And I got my badge and I walk in, beep, open the door, walk in. What's my responsibility? What am I thinking about that day? Does anybody in that office think, oh man, it has gotten out of control?
For a lot of people,
every single day is a bonfire.
You could have probably stopped at "Do people think?" That would have been the
yeah, probably. Yeah, and when people start ripping on the NCAA, and rightfully so, it's the Bruce Hornsby song. It's the way it is, because that's the way it is. It has to be, because you're not doing anything about it. You are frustrating fans. I have so many friends, I don't know about you, who have said, I don't even like college football anymore.
Oh, yeah. It's been a regular thing over the last couple seasons now.
Okay. Now, the numbers on TV would tell you otherwise.
Yep, people still watch it.
The packed houses would tell you otherwise. Can you watch financially support something and still be disgusted at the same time?
Yes, that's what it is. Like my dad, man, he's a diehard Michigan fan. He's watched him his whole life. Like every Saturday, I know what he's doing. But he's complained about it and said, I can't do it anymore. But he still watches them every single weekend.
Yeah, so that's
love you, Dad.
So that's love your dad. But I mean, that is, if you really want to stand up for something, then don't watch it.
Exactly. That's how
you and I will complain about it. We have to watch it. That's our job. I would probably be watching it anyway.
I would too.
I think you can watch something and still be disgusted, to your father's point. But when you sit there and say, I can't take it anymore, I'm not going to do it. No, that's so untrue. That's what football does. That's what sports does. It has you. You're not going away. This is not me holding on to a big mouth bass and just hoping I can get it in the net because I got it in my hands and it's slippery. This has got a hold on you that's going to have a hold on you for the rest of your life. You've got to be really strong. You got to be a really strong individual or have been kind of wish-washy about sports in order for you to let it go. And I don't think you can. When we come back, again, the Lions. There's a website out there that really loves some of their players, but there is one really, really bad situation that this team is going to have to deal with. Plus, we've got Handy Andy. How does Andy McDonald fix things? We've got that coming up here on X's and Bros after this.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contest or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church.
All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride, August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org. What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
18 after the hour. Welcome back here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. Thanks for being with us on a Tullymore Thursday. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meijer. Every Thursday, 7:18, we try to fix some things, and we do it with our friend Andy McDonald. We call it Andy.
Andy did a great job. Caught the criminals, the city is clear. The citizens can now all sleep peacefully.
Andy was still trying to fade the music down there. So that
don't tell me that you don't start tapping your toes a little bit and shaking your head.
I've started to like the jingle more than I thought I could. So
don't you wish it would go longer though?
I guess
I do. I want to hear more of it.
You want to hear what I do for the next 20 seconds after that?
Come on. There's definitely people driving. They're like, yeah, that's a cool little tune.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've gotten plenty of texts about this segment. So yeah, it's
good. All right, it's Andy. This is where Andy McDonald fixes some things for us. It could be in the world of sports. It could be in everyday life. Here's the first one. You ready?
I am.
Fix MLB's use or misuse of starting pitching.
Well, yeah. So obviously, we're talking about going deeper into games here, right? Like how starting pitchers are coming out too soon. Like that's the
we talked about it earlier in the week. Yeah, earlier in the week we said how it is as low as it's been, where the average is about 5 1/3, 5 2/3.
Well, I think it would actually start before the MLB because knowing me, if you know me, I'm dating a doctor. So Katie, she's told me plenty of times, and she worked in baseball a couple of times. She believes that the problem starts with the way that kids are throwing at such a young age. I feel like you have to go all the way to that spot where kids are being told to throw fastballs or curveballs. I mean, I remember even when I was a kid in baseball, it was, I don't know, I was probably at like the minor or major level, which is, I feel like you're only like 10 to 12 at that point. And people are already trying to tell you to throw as hard as you possibly can, throw as many curveballs. That's the issue, really. I think that when it comes to that, it starts at that point because every pitcher that's coming into the major leagues now is already doing that at such a young age that they're already using their arm too much at that level. And it seems to be a problem that reflects at this spot. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's ways you can get taught with your throwing motion, maybe to change as you go through college and into the professional level to maybe try to prevent some of the injuries. Clearly, it hasn't been enough to slow down what the analytics and what all the numbers say because pitch counts are a real thing and pitchers are coming out soon. So the only way I think you could truly fix it is if they started at a younger age with less of that in the game.
Yeah, I thought really when Dylan Cease was taken off with the Chicago White Sox, I thought we'd see more pitchers with that type of motion where they're not bringing it all the way back.
Sure.
We haven't seen that. I think you're right, or actually it's Katie. We should probably call this segment, at least in that question, Cuddle Up with Katie. Because she's the one who answered it. I think she's 100% right. I think the other thing is they're throwing all the time in the offseason, and that can't help. I would also add this. We're blaming kids for throwing too much. How about blaming some of the younger coaches, the youth coaches? A former trainer for the Tigers who was a friend of mine, Kevin Rand, he said when his kids were playing ball down in Florida, he would monitor and make sure that they were only throwing X amount of innings per week. If you're a mom or dad out there and your son or daughter is a really good pitcher, and they're playing baseball, softball, it doesn't matter. You can throw back to back to back to back. I mean, you could have two starters.
Arm motion's more natural.
Right? It's much more natural. But if you have a son or a daughter who's throwing fast pitch and they're pitching, monitor their innings. Don't let coaches throw their arm out. This is not the Major League Baseball where you're using relievers and they're expendable. Have them pitch, talk to a doctor, talk to a specialist, talk to an arm specialist, and just get an idea. How many pitches is too many for my son or daughter at this age? It's gonna differ. All right. The same is not going to be at age 11 as it is at age 16, okay, because of how they develop. I would say this. I wouldn't have any of my kids, if you're watching any of the Little League World Series, I wouldn't have any of my kids throwing curveballs. They're throwing fastballs. They're throwing changeups. Otherwise, it's putting too much stress on your arm. That said, there's a lot of people who look at it and go, I don't care if they have Tommy John. They're back after a year and they're better. Jackson Jobe had Tommy John. He was throwing 100 miles an hour.
He looks phenomenal. That's true.
He did. Right. So I
telling people to get Tommy John. It's just
but there are kids in high school who do that.
Yeah,
they don't need it, but they get it. That's a fact. It's very strange. All right, that's number one. One down, 2 to go.
Hammering through it.
I think this is going to be the most difficult thing to answer since we've been playing handy Andy. Fix the WNBA.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of problems with that, but I'm going to focus on the officiating, I guess, part of it, because I think that's one of the biggest problems when it comes to the WNBA.
It's a cop out. That's a cop out, man. That's not the biggest problem.
Well, I mean, I think
you know what the biggest problem is.
Well, what's that?
They have to stand for something. Okay, you can't have W in the name WNBA and then not stand up for women. That's their issue. And that's what everybody's ripping on them for. This is not a small problem at all. You've got to stand up for women. If it's a women's league, it should be only women. There's nothing wrong with saying that. They deserve it. I have a daughter. You're getting married to a woman. I want my daughter protected. I don't want my daughter playing against men. It's okay to say we stand for women.
Yeah,
What's wrong with that? How is that controversial?
No, I can agree with that part.
That's common sense, man. It is common sense.
Well, I mean,
anyway,
I do.
Go ahead, fix it.
Not that I don't agree with that, but I guess I thought we were talking about the basketball portion of it, like right now, because obviously I've seen many of the players in this league, like especially Caitlin Clark. The most ridiculous one the other night was when she bumped into the official and was suspended for a game. Thought that was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's because she got a technical. They rescinded that. She didn't get suspended for a game.
The fact that it was ever called, though, it just seems to be a constant thing, and she seems to get officiated different than everybody else. And there's just been a lot of problems with the officiating. I mean, most people say you have to increase the money and try to get full-time salaries. I obviously think that the more money you put into it, that would make it better for officiating. But yeah, you could also, I mean, if you have a replay center that you can make the calls or overturn the calls when it comes to those kind of things, then you would imagine you wouldn't have as many of the problems, even though we've seen replays still not be perfect at certain times. But also you could add another referee. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but whatever they're doing with the officiating right now, it seems, I don't know if these officials are too invested in the league themselves or whatever it might be, but it seems like they just call it a certain way based on who they like or don't like.
Yeah, I think I don't think Caitlin Clark does herself any favors by complaining the way she does.
That's fair.
Okay. She's an incredible player, but she cries about every single contact, and it gets really old. And I wish, this is not the league's responsibility, I wish the player and or the organization would recognize that. Let's look at some film. Here we go. Ready? Okay. This is not doing you any good with palms to the sky and constantly complaining. All right. Does she embellish? Probably. I would guess every player does in that league. And I would guess every player in the NBA and college basketball, they all embellish.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the constant whining gets really old. All right. Last one. Ready?
Always.
What's the perfect meal and how do you make it?
Well, for me, it's always got to be some kind of meat, potato, vegetable. That's like if I'm going to eat any kind of dinner, that's the way to do it. My favorite one has always been beer can chicken. I don't know if you've ever had that before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
really
my
good.
gosh, man.
Really
my dad made me fall in love with it just growing up, and now it's something that I've tried to do and had some success. I still think his is a little better than mine, but that's the way that I would do it is beer can chicken. I'm a mashed potatoes guy, pretty basic in that, right? And I think
plus you use the gravy from the beer can.
That's
beer
man,
can chicken, right?
You know exactly what you're doing.
Okay,
but that's the way to do it. And then for me, it really the vegetable isn't super particular, but it's always between corn and asparagus for me. Those are the two that I like to grill the most. So
and the dessert would be what?
Oh man, that's a good cheesecake. Probably I've always been a cheesecake guy. So
strawberries cheesecake.
Oh, I love cheesecake, man. I like a lot of different kinds, but
it's going to be hard for me to say no to any pie or any cake.
Yep.
It's just nearly impossible for me to do that. That sounds good. Now I'm hungry. And when we come back, Jim Miller and Todd Haley join us to talk about the NFC North. A couple of teams today, a couple of teams tomorrow here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Meijer.
The good life isn't about more. It's about making what you have work better. You work hard for your money, so you shouldn't have to work hard to save it. At Meijer, you'll find all the good stuff in one stop. with guaranteed fresh produce and Meyer brand faves. Quality so good, we put our name on it. And with M-Perks, you earn rewards to save on what you actually buy. Trust is worth bringing home and live a life you love. Good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meyer.
September 11th at Soaring Eagle, a hot night of soul.
Grab somebody sexy, tell them hey.
Three-time Grammy winner Neo and the princess of hip-hop, Keisha Cole. Tickets start at $53 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. Music that takes you there. Neo and Keisha, September 11th, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Get ready for the hottest Saturdays of the summer at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Now through August, we're dropping over $1 million in free play. Every hour from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 10 winners score $600 in free play. $1 Million Summer is back, so don't miss your shot at big summer wins. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
It's about a month ago. I was up at Tullymore and St. Ives. Played both courses with Jim Miller, who played 6 years in the National Football League, Pittsburgh, Chicago, New England, and Todd Haley, who spent 3 years as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, 10 years as an offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh and Arizona and Kansas City and Cleveland. Also coached with the Jets and the Cowboys in various roles as well. And one of the things I enjoyed more than anything else, first of all, they're two great dudes. I mean, just regular guys. Like you would think they would be talking above your head. And actually at lunch and breakfast and dinner, at times they were, because they were bringing up various coverages and various play calls. I love listening to both of them talk about offense. It's really educational. I mean, it reinforces my strong belief, and I have this debate with my friends all the time. There's no other sport out there other than football where you think you know, but you're so far off base. And I'm throwing myself in there too. I think this guy's great. I think that's a great play. I think he should have done this. He should have done that. The things that Todd and Jim talk about, football really is another language, folks. But their knowledge is incredible. I mean, it's mad respect for them. So talking about football with them, and I'm sure they would get tired of it because that's all everybody wants to talk about with them. They don't get tired of it.
They live and breathe it, man.
They live and breathe it, you know? And so I really appreciated them indulging me on that, but maybe just as much I enjoyed hearing about them personally. I mean, just good people. I mean, like, if they didn't, I don't care that Jim played quarterback at Michigan State and in the NFL. I don't care Todd's the head coach and played college golf at Florida. Those are two guys that I would like to hang out with, you know? And it comes across when they're doing their Sirius XM radio shows too. And Todd does a really good job on NFL radio. Jim was phenomenal in moving the chains. I don't know what the hell happened there. It's none of my business, but it's ridiculous that they chose not to re-up there. But I love listening to those guys talk football. You're going to love the contributions they are making to this network, this show, and others. Here's a little, and they were at every single camp. They went to every National Football League training camp. They don't just read stuff and then regurgitate crap. They take notes. They have specific questions. They watch specific players. They have phenomenal intel. We wanted to share with you what their observations were, at least this week, of the NFC North, because that's the Lions division. Can the Lions reclaim the top? Is Chicago a team good enough to repeat? Is the love for Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, is it nauseating or is it real? And what does Minnesota have to do to have their offense catch up to their defense? All legitimate questions, and most answered. Here's Jim Miller and Todd Haley on the defending division champion Chicago Bears.
We're back. Final division to get to. It is the NFC North. We saved the best for last. Todd Haley, former NFL head coach, with me. Hey, Jim Miller here, former NFL quarterback. Yeah, everybody knows me from the Chicago Bears, and that's where we are going to start because the Bears surprised everybody last year. Todd finished 11-6, first in the NFC North. They lost to the Rams in the divisional round, but how about Ben Johnson, the former OC of the Detroit Lions? He goes to Chicago and has to figure out this young quarterback in Caleb Williams. Has great flurry finishes. This quarterback has a flair for the dramatic. You know, you have 7 come from behind victories, and everybody is just the talk of the town in a defense that got a ton of takeaways. It gave their offense more opportunities. Have DeAndre Swift. They drafted Colston Loveland out of University of Michigan. He was their leading receiver, Todd, the tight end, their first-round draft pick out of Michigan. Rome Odunze was down with injury, had Luther Bird and other players step up, but it kind of went through the tight ends and a running game and a quarterback who minimized his mistakes. He quit taking all the sacks. The year prior, he led the league in sacks. Last year, He was phenomenal. So great coaching by Ben Johnson. And can they take it a step further here in 2026? Your thoughts on the Chicago Bears?
I think Ben Johnson did a phenomenal job, and I like the way he goes about his business, Jim. I mean, you see a toughness side to him. He definitely, he wasn't afraid to call out Caleb Williams when needed. But then, you remember some of the locker room talks after big wins and taking his shirt off and excitement. Players love that. I mean, he works both sides of it. He knows football. But the key here really is Caleb Williams. I thought made great strides, but still completion percentage, not what you want. You can't rely on those last second plays. Now, they were unbelievable things. Nobody in the world could do a couple of those throws he made late in games. So the ability is there. I think it's just still a work in progress, but another year with Ben Johnson, kind of laying down the law of what he expects. I think we're going to see an improved Caleb Williams.
Yeah, just situational play. And here's what I would say. He has to play better in first quarter situations, in third quarter situations. Like I said, he played well at the end of halves, played well at the end of games, the flair for the dramatic. It's really the consistency in the first and the third quarters is what I need to see from Caleb Williams, I would say.
Yeah, and when you say end of halves, what does that tell you? Usually you're sped up, things are happening fast, you're getting a little more vanilla defense because you're running plays quickly, and I think Caleb's very comfortable in that mode. You just can't play in that mode an entire game in the NFL. It doesn't work. So I agree with you. I mean, start just handling the offense in a more efficient manner, getting to the right play. I'm sure Ben Johnson has a lot of dual calls, where they got run, pass, run, pass, run, whatever it is. Be efficient there, get to the right play, and just do your job. If I'm talking to Caleb Williams, I'd be saying you don't have to be a superhero. I know he's trying to patent Iceman and all that stuff. I mean, I don't want a superhero. I just want a guy that's the same guy every day, just a little better every day.
Mentioned the 33 takeaways by Dennis Allen's defense, and they need to find pass rush, and that pass rush has got to be opposite Montez Sweat. So Dayo Odeyingbo, he went down with injury last year. Austin Booker did step up. Shamar Turner, he was out with injury. So it's going to be interesting to see how this defense comes along. Drafted Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. He's going to come in at the safety spot because they lost Kevin Byard. And then, of course, they had the unfortunate Drew Dahlman ends up retiring. So they trade for Garrett Bradbury of the New England Patriots. Also drafted Logan Jones of the Iowa Hawkeyes. So we'll have to see how that offensive line comes together along with the left tackle. But building something positive is what I would say for Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears.
So much is a really good breakdown by Jim and Todd, and love, the opportunity that Ben Johnson gives his quarterback, Caleb Williams in this case, run, pass, run, pass, run, all those different things that Todd was so good at. Well, he was an offensive coordinator and a head coach as well. But it does, there is something unique when you are being, let's use the cliche, the hunted. Is Caleb Williams going to be able to improve upon his completion percentage, as Jim pointed out? Need him better early in the season, early in the game.
Yeah, I love the points about the first and the third quarter needing to be better there. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I think the other thing that they kind of touched on, how good is Rome Odunze going to be as a number one?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because sure, DJ Moore was traded to Buffalo in the offseason. And as Jim pointed out, Colston Loveland, I mean, just an outstanding player. But it is 1 year. How we always feel like guys are going to get better their second year. And it just, sometimes guys plateau. I'm not saying that's what it's going to be like for Colston Loveland. And I sure as hell hope that isn't the way it is for Tate Ratledge, for example. But it will be something interesting to follow. Can Caleb Williams, with the expectations, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, they're not going to sneak up on anybody. Look, at some point last year, when Chicago was playing the games that they were playing, teams weren't going, well, is this team really that good? Think about that for a second. In 2025, at some point, maybe not when they started out 0-2, but at some point when they reeled off 4 straight wins and they were getting ready to take on Baltimore, do you think Baltimore's going, we don't have to worry about this too much because this team's not that good? They're going to take us by surprise if they do anything. No. There was a point in the middle of the season where they beat Cincinnati and New York. They beat Minnesota and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. After you beat the Eagles, isn't there a part of you that moving forward, whether it's Green Bay, Detroit, Cleveland, San Francisco, or whomever, where they're going, you know what? That team's for real. We better get ready for them. I don't think they're sneaking up on people, and I don't necessarily believe they snuck up on people last year, except for maybe early in a season. And the Lions beat them twice, by the way, in week 2 and in the final week of the year. So I do wonder a little bit about whether or not they can continue to have the type of success, overall success, because I think with Ben Johnson and you've got the talent there offensively, they're going to be, and their offensive line. Not much was said about the offensive line. That is that's a strength of that football team. And it has to be a strength in this division. Speaking of the division, if it's not Chicago, it's not Detroit, many people feel like it will be Green Bay. Green Bay is a team that, and I love the fact, it's not like I love the Packers, but I love the fact that it is the expectation there. Now, you know how I feel about Jordan Love. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. He's never won more than 9 games in a single season. They ended last year making the playoffs, but losing 4 straight games. What do they need to do to turn it around and find themselves back on top of the division? Here's Jim Miller and Todd Haley on a preview of the Packers for 2026.
As we move on to the Green Bay Packers, as we finish up the NFC North, Green Bay is an interesting team. A lot of people are calling for Matt LaFleur's head. They believe he is a guy who is on the hot seat for the Green Bay Packers. You know, their win totals have been great. They've been phenomenal with making them all the way to the playoffs. But Green Bay was 9-7-1, second in the NFC North. They lost to the Bears in the wild card round. But as I said, Matt LaFleur, he is 79-46-1 as a head coach, 3-6 in the postseason. They bring in Jonathan Gannon to strengthen a defense that now, when they move on from Jeff Hafley, who's the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Jonathan Gannon is bringing in a 3-4 defense. So there are a lot of moving parts here with a Green Bay Packers team that this kind of somewhat have been underwhelming. There's no other way to say it. They're just kind of underwhelming is what I'd say about Green Bay. Talented, but underwhelming.
Yeah, and I think, you got to not making excuses, but when you trade for Micah Parsons and give up what you gave up to do it, and then he goes down, that's going to really set you back defensively. Now, Hafley had done a great job. He's now a head coach in Miami. So Jonathan Gannon, he cut his teeth being a really good defensive coordinator in Philly. It got him a head job. That didn't work out. But I think, they have the bodies to go back to that 3-4. Micah being one of those guys. But, they bring in Javon Hargrave, who's very comfortable playing in 3-4, as an end. They draft Chris McClellan out of Missouri, to beef up the interior, with Clark no longer being there. So, the onus is going to be on Jonathan Gannon. And just tell me when Mike is back, because, if he can get back early October and be Micah Parsons, I think he just brings an energy to this entire group and team for that matter. So, and then we move over to the offense. Jordan Love, he kind of gets some flack because he's kind of a flatline guy. You don't see a lot of emotion, but, he's had a lot of success. He just hadn't had the big success. To me, Christian Watson staying healthy is critical. Jaden Reed, I think, is a quality, 2. Matthew Golden is the key here, before we get to the running back situation. But Matthew Golden, everything you hear, he just tears it up in practice. And it didn't kind of come to fruition last year, which is hard for a young receiver. So I expect a big jump from Golden this year. So now the key becomes Josh Jacobs having some off-field things. What's going to happen there? They haven't made any moves to try to figure that out. But if he was such a key part of this offense last year and one of the leaders of the team, terrible to see what went on. But
if he's not there, I would expect to see them go fishing for a running back that can come in there and play.
Yeah, this could be a team that adds a running back right before training camp starts. But Jacobs has been tremendous. He had 13 rushing touchdowns a season ago, just under 1,000 yards, but did have a 4.0 average. And we'll see how that 3-4 defense comes together. Lucas Van Ness, the Iowa draft pick for a couple of years ago, should be good opposite Parsons on the other side to provide that pass rush. And again, Jordan Love, can he get it to come all together for the Green Bay Packers in 2026?
Well, those are excellent points, and since they were able to record that, the Packers had announced that Micah Parsons, who's recovering from a torn ACL and damage to the meniscus, is going to be out. They don't have a specific time frame, but he's going to be out for a while. That leads a lot of people to believe that. I mean, you're looking at. They're going to start with Pittsburgh, and it's too bad that it's in Pittsburgh. It would have been great in Green Bay because they'd have Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay playing at Lambeau one last time. But between week 5 and 7, they're going to face the Bears, the Cowboys, and the Lions. 3 teams that finished in the top 10 in scoring last year. That is going to be a pivotal point.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
For the Green Bay Packers, okay? And Green Bay is a team, I mentioned they lost 4 straight to end the year. Really, it was 5 if you count the playoff game. All right? So they lost to Denver. They lost to Chicago. They lost to Baltimore. They lost to Minnesota. Then they lost to Chicago again. I don't see it with the Packers, quite honestly. I really don't. But just when you think you can count some teams out, and you've got some guys who are good at what they do. I mean, I don't think it was Jordan Love's fault in that game against Green Bay or against Chicago in the playoff game. I mean, he threw for almost 330 yards or whatever. I just think the margin for error for Green Bay, I think, is pretty damn slim compared to some of the other teams within the division. Really good breakdown from Jim Miller and Todd Haley. We appreciate their input to the program. It's fantastic stuff. You can follow them both on Twitter, and they're good follows. I mean, it's all football. It's no nonsense. Jim_Miller NFL and the Todd Haley. Okay. Those are their Twitter handles. Check them out today. A lot of fun for sure. And if you go Jim Miller _NFL and the Todd Haley, you're going to find a lot of football stuff that you really enjoy. All right. When we come back, we are going to dive into what one website likes and dislikes about the Lions. We will also try and get to something that I put out on Twitter yesterday, and that is when Kevin McGonigal stands in, I always think he's going to get a hit. Who are some of those hitters in the past that you've watched you feel the exact same way about? We'll get to all that and more in the final hour, plus Evan Woodbury at 8:35 on X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by Meyer.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church.
All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride. August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Put your faves on repeat with new Meyer Subscribe. It's easy to add subscriptions with your Meyer home delivery or pickup order. From fridge and pantry to pets and paper towels, big, small, or in between. Subscribe to Purina, Pampers, and all your favorite brands. We'll shop as often as you like when you like. Just press set up a subscription while shopping and choose a frequency. We'll take care of the rest. New Meyer Subscribe keeps you supplied with what you need when you need it. Download the Meyer app to start a subscription with your home delivery or pickup order today.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan. One of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan on the east side of the state, and Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan. Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Get ready for the hottest Saturdays of the summer at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Now through August, we're dropping over $1 million in free play. Every hour from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 10 winners score $600 in free play. $1 Million Summer is back, so don't miss your shot at big summer wins. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Again, our thanks to Jim Miller and Todd Haley, the former player and former head coach and offensive coordinator, for their contributions and breaking down a couple of the teams in the NFC North. Tomorrow, we'll listen to them talk about the Minnesota Vikings and, of course, the Detroit Lions. Let's get to a text. You can text to Sports Radio 21,000. You can call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843, or you can join us in the chat as we stream live on YouTube, X, and on Facebook. Our thanks to all our wonderful partners out there. Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Holland, that's listening in WMAX 96.1 FM, The Game on the Ticket, 93.7 FM, WKAD, that serves Cadillac and Traverse City. Up north, WMBN 104.7 FM, The Ticket, Northern Michigan, that's in Petoskey and Charlevoix. Midland, Saginaw, and Bay City, the Tri-City area, the Mid, WLUN 100.9 FM. Thanks for listening. And, of course, in Lansing, WVFN AM, 7:30 a.m., The Game. He's Andy McDonald. I'm Matt Shepard. Tigers 6-4 losers yesterday. The wrap-up against Cleveland is today. On the bump, Cater Montero, 8-7, 3.38 ERA. Parker Messick for Cleveland, 9-6, 2.57 ERA. Riley Green placed on the 10-day IL with a strained hamstring. Lions open the preseason with a kickoff in Cincinnati tonight. Live Golf has canceled its $40 million team championship tournament at the end of the month in Plymouth, Michigan. It's the second tournament the league has canceled after ending the $30 million June event in New Orleans. What a mess.
Seriously.
Do you think the PGA takes John Rahm back and all those other guys?
It would.
Cam Smith and
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do with it, just based off how it was when they left. I don't know.
Why wouldn't you want them back?
I would want them back. There's no question about it.
Are they
too
elite at what
petty?
they
I
do?
don't know, but
look. I was in the minority here. I thought the Live Golf Tour was good for the PGA. And the reason I said that is because the PGA got fat and happy. They limited the amount of certain things that guys could earn and all this other stuff. Live came in. I didn't like the financial backing. I didn't like the format. I don't like music screaming and a concert and all this other stuff and playing only 3 instead of 4 days. I thought the money was outrageous. However, I did think there was a place where players could have options. All right. And I was hoping that I would look at it more of like a feeder to the PGA where certain guys who may not have the big names, and you can expand the PGA Tour card a little bit more. But what a train wreck it has been. Nobody watches it. Do you know? You and I watch golf all the time. Do you know anyone who watches it? You're gonna watch the Wyndham Championship?
no one's texting me about the
championship in New Orleans.
Yeah, nobody's texting me about that. That's for sure.
Agreed. Here's the Mitch Lions Wealth poll question of the day. I would hope they would bring some of those guys back. Why are you so mad that guys went for a better opportunity to make some money? How's it any different than any other business? And you got to go back to the previous business that you left if they're willing to have you? Why not? You're still good at what you do. You chased the money. I hate to tell you this. A lot of the guys in the PGA Tour chase money through endorsements and a lot of other things. They're not trying to put you. Liv wasn't trying to put PGA out of business. They were just trying to make it an alternative. Anyway, which Lions player will you have your eye on tonight? Blake Miller, Seth McLaughlin, Ahmad Hassanein, or Nick Whiteside? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. We have tweeted it out there. I have retweeted it, and we will tabulate all those results and give them to you tomorrow. How about the text line? What do you got for us?
Yeah, so I thought this was a really interesting text because it was also a little piece of news yesterday that I did see floating around. You should give that same speech he's talking about when we were on the Michigan-Ohio State thing as fans you made for Michigan football to Dylan Larkin. His attitude is so disappointing. He abandoned the Detroit team and fans. So I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but it was reported by Helene St. James that he wasn't
Still
budging.
entrenched.
Yeah, he wasn't budging. So.
I do agree with that. This opens up a very challenging conversation. And I've said this, I've gone on record and I've said this. I do not condone the way Dylan Larkin has handled the situation. If you don't feel you have the right leadership, and you are a leader yourself, a captain, how do you go about changing it? You don't go about it by demanding a trade, all right? But what's the recourse he had? He feels like this franchise is headed in the wrong direction with Steve Yzerman. He's right. Am I wrong there? Stop me when I'm wrong. He feels like they're headed in the wrong direction. They've had him for 7-8 years. They haven't made the playoffs at all. He hasn't done anything at the trade deadline. He's gone through 3 coaches, and I can't even name how many goalies. Right?
He said that he knew that there'd be a rebuild, but he didn't think it would take this long. Larkin said
Correct.
as much as that.
Okay. And so did Yzerman. Dylan Larkin was so wrong that the franchise actually ended up saying, you know what, Steve, you're out. Too late, but they said you're out. So he was right about that. I just don't like the way he went about it. What recourse did he have? Because I don't know the conversations he had with front office or ownership where he's saying, look, we've got to change some things. Do you think he's the only athlete who's told his ownership things have to change? Hi, Magic Johnson, Paul Westhead, after they won an NBA championship and brought in Pat Riley. I'm just asking. Do you think he's the only one? Happens all the time. All right? I don't care if you're Barry Bonds. I don't care who you are. You have said to management at one point or said to ownership, things have got to be different. All right? Troy Aikman with Dallas. I don't care. You name it. That said, they didn't sit there and demand a trade. You and I have been complaining for years about Steve Yzerman not making trades. You and I have been complaining for years about him acquiring the wrong talent or not good enough talent. We don't live it every day. Dylan Larkin lives it every day, not just during the hockey season, but every day. I'm asking you what he should have done. He sure shouldn't have said, I'm demanding a trade.
Yeah, no question about it.
But he can't make the moves, right? I think people look at it and like, oh, he's given up on the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan. And I don't think he is. At some point, you've been playing for 10 years. You want to win a championship. You look at your team. It's funny how we look at these situations. You look at your team and you're like, we're not winning anything. I want to be part of a winner. What do I do to become part of a winner? I can't make the moves. I just got to go play. And people complain and then are saying he's wrong. I just said it. Mike Trout stays in Los Angeles, doesn't demand a trade, and people think he's an idiot. Why wouldn't you want to win, Mike? Move on. But he stays with the Angels. Which one's at fault? Are both at fault? Are neither at fault? We don't like it, and I don't either, because it's a bad look and because he's basically saying no to us. And we want to be loved. We want you to play for us. We want you to like it here. I'm telling you right now, I said this at the beginning while everybody said he's got leverage. I said, I don't think he does. Everybody said he's going to get traded. I said, I think it's going to be hard to trade him, even though he's got a favorable contract. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's with that team in training camp. Now, that was with Yzerman as the general manager. With him being out and this incompetency of ownership, an unwillingness to get some type of person in that same position as a general manager, they're running out of time.
Leaving everybody uncertain to what's actually going on. Nobody has a clue what's going on with the Red Wings right now.
I don't need to. You don't need to. Players and other members of that front office, Sean Horkoff, Chris Draper, Nick Lidstrom, all these people who are associated with the franchise, they do deserve to know. Alex DeBrincat, maybe they do know, and we're not in the know. That could be the case. But, man, it has been handled as poorly as you could have imagined by everybody. Larkin, Yzerman, ownership, all of it, right? So I'm with you to a certain extent. I think there's too many times we just think players are supposed to accept whatever is going on and they want to make a difference. We're going to complain that they don't want to win, but when they do want to win and nothing's being done about it and they try to do something about it, we complain about that too. He should have gone about it in a different way for sure. It didn't help that it was leaked. Football talk on the other side. Evan Woodbury at 8:35. Stay with us.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, Together, we can make a difference.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved
Okay, 18 after the hour. Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Andy, I did find out why Jaden Daniels is pissed off at LSU.
Why is that?
Because they have given the number 5 to cornerback DJ Pickett. DJ Pickett did not wear number 5 a year ago. Lane Kiffin is trying to tell anybody who will listen that when he was recruited, he was promised at one point he could wear number 5. Last year, he wore number 3. And was named a freshman All-American. He led the Tigers in picks with 3 and played a ton. Played like over 520 defensive snaps. So he was wearing number 5 when they opened preseason practice last week.
This was a defensive back, you said?
It's a cornerback, yeah.
That'd be pretty crazy if he made it to the NFL someday and intercepted Jaden Daniels.
It would be. But Jaden Daniels is pissed off because he and his family feel, quote-unquote, disrespected. Jaden made it clear that he did not want his number given to another player, and he believed his wishes would be respected.
I mean, if that's the truth, if that got promised to him, I get it. If that was promised to him.
I mean, he won a Heisman Trophy. I think he was the third.
I'm not saying he should get retired by any means or anything like that. But if the school said that to him, I get why you'd be upset about it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't think they retired Joe Burrow's number. He won a Heisman Trophy and won a national championship. And you could argue he guided one of the top 10 national championship teams of all time. They averaged like 40-plus points and gave up like 9
Absolutely.
9 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
He would definitely deserve it more, in my opinion.
The only players to have their numbers retired in LSU history, there are 4 of them. Billy Cannon, Tommy Casanova, great name, Jerry Stovall, and Charles Alexander. There is a plan to retire Burt Jones's number. He wore number 7. So he will be the 5th ever. Joe Burrow doesn't have his number retired. However, nobody has worn number 9 since. And that's Jaden Daniels' frustration. I don't know what it is that the card of a spokesman for the Daniels family said the family feels deeply disappointed, which is bullcrap. It's Jaden who feels this way. Feels deeply disrespected and disappointed at LSU's decision to give Jaden's number to another player. I mean, they don't even use the kid's name. I don't know, man. I believe I'm a big believer in it. If your number's retired, if that 56 for Joe Schmidt is retired for the Lions, you should not give it to Pat Swilling. He asked Joe Schmidt. Joe Schmidt said it's okay. I don't understand what. Now I'm being somewhat hypocritical here. Alan Trammell's number 3 should have been retired. It wasn't. They gave it to Ian Kinsler. Lou Whitaker's number 1 should have been retired. They gave it to Jose frickin' Iglesias. Kinsler wore 3, but so did Gary Sheffield. Neither one of them should have worn it. The organization, at some point, an organization needs to go, no. They were too late in retiring it, but no. We appreciate it, but you're not. If that's a deal breaker, do you really want that player anyway? Where you got the number? I guess I understand where if Jaden Daniels was made a promise and it was unkept, then it's got to tick him off a little bit and feel upset. Disrespected might be a little bit of a strong word. But if you're the school and you're going to make that promise, retire the number. That's all you got to do. It's not like he's unworthy. He won a Heisman. You could say it's 1 year. I mean, it's a little fast for me personally. I wouldn't have made the promise. But I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to football retirement numbers. All right, let me get to this. Pro Football Focus. NFL offensive line rankings. How much of an impact does it make that Cade Mays is not your starter at center? Well, Pro Football Focus thinks it's a big deal. Their number 1 offensive line is the Denver Broncos. Garrett Boyles is a really underrated left tackle. Mike McGlinchey is pretty good on the right side. I'm not going to claim to know all the linemen in football. I don't. But they've got Denver at number 1. They've got Philly at number 2. Not a surprise at all. I don't know where the weakness might be. Maybe it's right guard Tyler Steen. But Jordan Mailata is really good. Landon Dickerson's really good. Cam Jurgens is really good, and so is Lane Johnson, who's playing in his last year. They've got Tampa at number 3. A lot of that is because of Tristan Wirfs. Luke Gudke is really good at the right side, and former Michigan lineman Ben Bredesen's at the left side. Graham Barton's pretty good center as well. Anyway, so they're Tampa at 3. Indy at 4. Quentin Nelson is the highlight there. Chicago is at 5. They just made Darnell Wright the highest paid right tackle in history. Joe Tooney last year was really good. Jonah Jackson, the former Lion, is stabilizing force too. Chicago's got a really good offensive line. If there's any reason to believe in the Bears, you could talk about Caleb Williams, you could talk about Roma Dunze all you want, you could talk about Colston Loveland. I talk about their offensive line. Buffalo is number 6. The Chargers are number 7. Where do you think they have the Lions?
Not in the top 10?
Nope. Kansas City's at 8, Atlanta 9, San Francisco 10. There's your top 10. They have the Lions
15
at, nope. One more guess.
18.
19.
Okay. That I could see it being in there. That it was
Okay.
anything
Now
15 and beyond.
it doesn't mean it's the be-all, end-all because the Rams are just outside the top 10. But Pro Football Focus has the Lions offensive line ranked 19th with Sewell, Mahogany, Scruggs, Ratledge, and Miller. Here's what they write. The injury to new center Cade Mays drops the Lions from a team that would have ranked 13th on the list to just inside the top 20. Sewell moves from right tackle to left tackle, replacing Decker. Ratledge looked apart as a rookie at right guard. Christian Mahogany struggled, and with Blake Miller set to start as a rookie, there are several concerns with this group. If Miller can hit the ground running, then they can be a top 10 unit when Mays returns. But Jared Goff could easily find himself under more pressure in 2026. I don't know if that's possible. Last year, he took a career-high 38 sacks. This is what we have talked about on X's and BrO's for a while now. As much as we would love to have the identity be the offensive line, there are legitimate question marks. Blake Miller is one of the most important players on this team, especially with the loss of Cade Mays. Who do we have?
I got Todd Haley on hold for you.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, what a pleasure. Let's bring in the former head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs and a man who knows more football, forgotten more football than we'll ever know, Todd Haley. Hi, Todd. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Shep. I just was wandering around links on Twitter or X and things like that. And, in light of Jaden Daniels being ticked off about, them giving up his number 5, and I heard you talking about that. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm hearing my voice on the Michigan Sports Radio Network, and I'm thinking about sending out a letter.
Well, I would love to have you part of this network more often, quite honestly. I think you deserve to be, but I do enjoy listening to your show every day on NFL radio. It's fantastic stuff. I mean, the knowledge just spews out of every pore in your body, and I'm smarter for it.
No, I'm joking around. No, I love listening in to you. I wanted to say hi since you were pubbing us a little bit. Me and Jim Miller was nice. So, and now you're on the subject of the Lions and just what I talked about when we got together, the center position becomes an issue again, huh?
That's exactly right. And the offensive line, you and I are pretty much in simpatico there. The offensive line is so vital. It's a big reason why Chicago is probably still one of the favorites in the NFC, but the Lions, the question marks are legitimate. Left guard, center, and we hope the right tackle works out. So all of it is really important. What are you talking about today on your show on Sirius XM?
We're going to hit on all these quarterback situations. I go on at 10 Eastern with Bruce Murray, but just a lot of these quarterback situations, we've heard some guys named as starters like Kyler Murray for the year, or at least the start of the year, whereas Cleveland's still kind of soft shoeing it. They're going to start Deshaun tonight, I believe, and but no permanent decision, which, as you and I talked about a bunch, I mean, the earlier you make these decisions, the better for everybody involved. So I think Minnesota's staying ahead of the curve a little bit in that area.
Yeah, well, we'll be listening for sure. I would encourage everybody to listen and follow you on Twitter. It was so much fun to be with you. You're a wonderful person. It's great to have you part of the broadcasting industry, and I hope we can do more. I got to hit a break, but have a great weekend, my friend. Thanks for calling in. It's very kind.
Yeah, you too, and I appreciate the kind words very much, Shep.
Yeah, learn a lot from you, for sure. Not just about football, by the way. Life, too. I enjoyed the talk about life just as much as I did football. Have a great weekend. We're back with Evan Woodbury of M Live after this.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to Kirk.
The good life isn't about more. It's about making what you have work better. You work hard for your money, so you shouldn't have to work hard to save it. At Meijer, you'll find all the good stuff in one stop with guaranteed fresh produce and Meijer brand faves. Quality so good, we put our name on it. And with M-Perks, you earn rewards to save on what you actually buy. Trust is worth bringing home and live a life you love. Good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meijer.
35 after the hour on this Tullymore Thursday. We're brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Evan Woodbury's been with the Tigers all season long. He's been with them for years. Does a wonderful job covering them and keeping us updated on where this team is at, what this team needs, and what this team is capable of. And he joins us here on X's and BrO's. Evan, thanks for the time. How are you, man?
Doing good, Chef. How are you?
I'm doing fine. This has been a revolution to a certain extent of this team since June 1st. What is the biggest difference besides the injuries? What's been the biggest difference between this team lately and what it was prior to most of the All-Star break, do you think?
I don't know. It's funny. We realize intrinsically that baseball is random and weird, but the last 3 seasons have just kind of shown how random and weird baseball is for the Tigers. Because there's not always an easy explanation. I do think, like, when the Tigers are at their best, it's some of those little role player pieces that have gone well, the Jahmai Jones, the Andy Ibanez's of the world that provide outsized production. And when the Tigers were at their worst this year in May, they were just getting zero production from, the Veerlings and the Zach McKinstrys. And they just had way too many holes in their lineup. And that started to turn. And now, at least before the injury to Riley Green, you could once again look at their lineup and look at 7 or 8 spots in the lineup and say, hey, that's pretty good. And they're also getting production from some of those surprise guys, the Eduardo Valencias and Hao Yu Lee, and even like Ben Malgeri, like the kind of role players that made the hot start or the hot season part of 2024 and 2025. Have come back to a certain extent. And I think that does make a big difference for a team that kind of lives on the margins like the Tigers has.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. I had, you and I, we used to talk a lot in the dugout. I had this thought the other day, and I said this out loud. I've always wanted this team to have everyday players. When you have a healthy Riley Green in left, Max Clark, the eventual future in center, McGonagall's in there every day, Torkelson, Dingler in there every day, Baez when healthy every day. I think they have more everyday players than what they've had in the past where they're trying to mix and match. How much of a factor do you think that is, if at all?
I think it's a huge factor, and it starts with, like, Kevin McGonigal, for instance. I mean, I think even we've given him a lot of attention, and the fans have given him a lot of love, but I still think we underestimate how impressive this year has been, and how you just couldn't have counted on a 21-year-old to make the impact as an everyday player at a key position in the middle of the infield like he has done this year. I mean, people can retroactively say, well, he was a can't-miss prospect, but can't-miss prospects miss all the time, like routinely in baseball. So for him to not just be okay or not just be adequate, but to actually be an impact guy that you can put at the top of the lineup every single day has been huge, and I think is a big factor in what's gone right this year. And you're right. I mean, I think even going back to the early days of A.J. Hinch's tenure, when we would talk about the pinch hitting and the platooning and stuff like that, and he said, like when we were with the Astros and I could put in 8 or 9 guys the same lineup every single day, that's certainly preferable if you can do that. And they are, obviously, when everybody's healthy, a lot closer to doing that now than they were at points in the last several years.
You bring up McGonigal, and for good reason. I tweeted this out yesterday. When he steps into the box, I feel like he's going to hit a hit every single time. I've had that feeling. I'm not saying he's the best hitter I've ever seen, and I'm not comparing him to these guys. But in the past, when I watched Pete Rose or George Brett or Paul Molitor or Al Oliver or Rod Carew, that's how I felt when they were Wade Boggs, when they were in the box. Who does McGonigal remind you of?
I think you're right. He doesn't have what I would say like empty at bats. And like you can even see great major league players who just have bad at bats occasionally, where they swing at 3 bad pitches, or they just have a bad swing, or they just look off. He just does not have bad at bats. He competes in every at bat. He doesn't have cheap at bats. He doesn't have empty at bats. And the crazy thing is, it's been that way pretty much from day one. Like this hasn't even been an adjustment period for him. You think back to the first week of the season, and it wasn't even like the stats he was putting up on the scoreboard that was most impressive. It was just the quality of the at bats, that he was not giving up any cheap outs, and it's still that way today. So I mean, it's hard to find a comparison, and you never want to like go too far and overstate the case for a 21-year-old because baseball is weird and injuries happen and careers change. But he has everything you look for in like a franchise future Hall of Fame type player. And it's you hate to say that so early in a career, but again, for a 21-year-old to do what he's done, it is just really, really rare.
I'm not going to say the same thing for Max Clark. That's unfair. But I was super impressed with the 12-pitch at bat last night in the 8th. I tweeted out,
oh, absolutely.
No matter how it ends, it's an impressive at bat. As you and I know, not every at bat, not every great at bat ends in a hit. Not every strong contact, hard hit contact ends in a home run. I thought Max Clark has shown me something very similar in that. His eye for the zone, which pitches to spit at and which pitches to swing at and then stay alive, because you're not looking at every pitch to get a hit. Sometimes you just want to foul it off and survive. He's kind of impressed me in that regard too, without getting too hyperbolic.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the whole package has really been impressive. The defense, we'll still wait and see some of the base running and speed that I think can impact the game. But no, he's had an impressive, really 10, 12 days. It's crazy because it feels like he's been on the team longer than he has, just because he doesn't look like a 21-year-old in the box. He looks very mature, has a really solid approach at the plate. And, I think it bears saying as well that he's been really impressive in the clubhouse. In talking to him, he's probably much more mature than a lot of people give him credit for. He's an incredibly smart baseball guy. He knows baseball, not just as a player, but like as a fan. He's a really sharp guy. I think as fans get to know him even more, they're going to like him a lot. He's had an impressive couple-week debut.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Evan Woodbury, MLive, joining us here on X's and Bros. Follow him on Twitter at Evan Woodbury, just one R, by the way. I said this before the season began. Too many people judged him based on the chains around his neck and one bad defensive inning in a spring training game. And that was the talk of Detroit. And I said, it's interesting how nobody said anything about Deion Sanders' chains. Nobody said anything about Justin Jefferson's chains. I don't give a crap what the guy wears. All I care about is whether or not he performs. And I said, he's going to be a really good player. He's going to be a staple for this franchise for a long time. And I think he has been just that. Let me ask you, or will be, and he's been really impressive so far. Is this is a hard question to answer. Too many people just look at the Tigers and say, well, the American League's wide open and there's not very many good teams. Is this a good team, or is this a good enough team because of the situation in the American League?
I think it's probably it's a good enough team. I would have said maybe I would have been more enthusiastic had they not traded their top two pitchers at the deadline, and I including arguably the best pitcher in baseball right now. And I totally understand why they did, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it at all. And I think they very much can still make the playoffs and still make some noise in the playoffs. But it is hard to argue that they got better after trading the best pitcher in baseball. And I still think this team does have some holes. I still get worried about the 8th and 9th inning, and I'm still not sure that there are any real obvious solutions to that, either on the roster or waiting in the wings. But at the same time, when they are healthy, when they're on all cylinders, it's not a bad lineup. It's a potentially really, really strong rotation, even after the two trades. And, look, they've got arguably two of the top five, maybe two of the top three players in the MVP vote this year at the top of their lineup, playing key positions in Dylan Dingler and Kevin McGonigal. That's, not many teams have that. Really, when you look at teams, you always look up the middle. You look at the center fielder, the shortstop, the catcher, and they have three really, really, really good young players who are playing really well right now. And all three of those spots in the middle of their lineup, that's a pretty good starting point.
It does beg this question. What's the home for Kevin McGonigal? So I've probably been in the minority here, Ev, but like when Javier Baez is out, I would have played Kevin McGonigal at shortstop every single flipping day. If he's your future shortstop, why not? Why the move from short to third? I know it's the left side of the infield, but short to third. Where is his future? Where is his future all-time home, and why?
I hope they keep him at shortstop as long as possible. Just because I think that's where you can get the most value, and I think he doesn't have necessarily an elite shortstop, but I think he can be an average shortstop, which I think with his bat is all you really need. The throwing arm is probably why they initially had some concerns, when he goes back deep in the hole and has to make a long throw. I think his margin for error is probably smaller than with a guy like Javi or anybody with an elite type arm where, you can make some mistakes and still make up for it by having an elite type arm. I think McGonigal has a smaller margin for error where, he has to get rid of the ball fast. He has to be on his toes. He has to be, he can't get away with some stuff that maybe the guy with an elite arm could get away with at shortstop, especially deep in the hole. But I think he's been a perfectly adequate and, an average shortstop in the big leagues is a really good shortstop. An average shortstop who is an elite hitter is a guy you can build around for a long time. So I hope they keep him at shortstop for as long as possible. I was 100% with you in, really some of their ugly parts of May, and I love Zach Short, but every game that Zach Short was at shortstop, I was saying, why in the world is Kevin McGonigal not playing shortstop right now? I wanted to see him in there as much as possible, especially when Javi was out. And I really hope that they give him, time to build there as a longer term home, rather than thinking initially of third base or even next year. Well, I think they've got enough internal second base options where third base is probably going to be the next home for him. But I hope they can keep him at short for longer than that.
Yeah, and I like Zach Short too, that, but the whole good guy stuff, enough is enough. I would have just, I agree. McGonigal at short, if that's his home position. I don't know where it will be. You think it's third? Is that because Bryce Rayner will eventually be your big league shortstop and Max Anderson will be your second baseman? Is that what you're envisioning there?
Well, I think, they've just got such options at second base. Second base in general is just an easier position to fill, even if some of the internal options don't work out. And third base has kind of been a black hole of sorts for the organization. But it's so, as we've seen, it's tough to predict, to look years in advance. Who knows what will become Rayner? Who knows, is Hal Yulee a utility guy, or can he potentially be an everyday option? Does Max Anderson have the glove to be at second base, or is he going to be more of a DH type kind of bench bat? Those are still questions to be resolved. But I think generally, my hunch is that he's probably more likely to switch to third than the second. But we'll have to see.
Last year it took 88 wins to win the AL Central. 2 years ago it took 92. What does Evan Woodbury think will be required to win it in 2026?
I remember saying at various points the last couple of years, like, well, the projections say it's only going to require, 84 wins to get that last wild card, or 83, or, sometimes it can be deceptively easy looking in August. And all it takes is one team to get hot, to do what the Red Sox did and win, 12 games in a row. And suddenly, that last projected spot has changed quite a bit. That's why I thought, even going back a few weeks ago, it wasn't so much the distance that the Tigers were from a playoff spot, which was relatively low. It was the number of teams between them and a playoff spot, which a few weeks ago was really high and no longer is now. But that's the big thing, is just a couple teams ahead of you getting hot, and suddenly the equation changes quite a bit. So I'm not going to go overly low, but when I look at the playoffs, I tend to look more at the Central Division than I do the wild card, just because I think that's going to end up being very wide open. The White Sox have been fantastic. They deserve a lot of credit for what they've done this year. But at the end of the day, they're still a team that lost 100 games the last couple of seasons. I'm not really afraid of them going down this stretch. I think, the Tigers or the Twins or the Guardians could all have a strong case to challenge for the Central Division in the final 6 or 7 weeks of the season. So I do think it's wide open, and I think, it's possible that you could even sneak in with a Central Division championship with a record that is lower or equal to than that third wild card team, depending on how things sort out. So I think it's worth keeping an eye on the wild card, but also not conceding the Central Division, which I think remains wide open.
I agree 100%. One last thing for you. I talked with Evan Woodbury of MLive, done a great job covering the Tigers. Follow him on Twitter at Evan Woodbury. Who wins the division, and who are the 3 wild cards, do you think? I mean, the Yankees are going to be one of the wild cards. We understand that. Boston's been playing good ball, and then they lost 4 in a row. But who do you envision being the 3 wild cards in the American League, and who wins the AL Central?
Well, I mean, at the risk of being a homer or something, I mean, I think you could make a strong case that the Tigers are the best team in the AL Central. They don't have the best record, but you could absolutely make a case that they're the best team in the AL Central. I always like the Guardians down the stretch because you look at the bullpen that they can put out in the 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th inning, and ending with Cade Smith. And that's why they're always so good in close games. They've been good in close games really the last several seasons. I think that's why they're an enticing pick down the stretch, even though their lineup leaves a lot to be desired, and they've had some problems this year. Beyond that, let's see. I mean, I'll look at the standings right now. Let's go with the Tigers winning the AL Central, which I think is optimistic, but not totally unrealistic. Obviously, the Yankees have a wild card. Red Sox probably have a wild card.
Yep.
And then that third team is wide open. I'm not totally impressed with the Rangers. I mean, let's go with the Tigers in the Central and the Guardians for the extra wild card, which sounds crazy because I've just talked about how bad the AL Central is. But,
yeah. Okay. So Chicago's out of it. Chicago would be out of it. That's interesting.
I've been doubting the White Sox early and often this year, which is probably highly unfair to them, but I really have been. I mean, they've been a great story, but great stories often come to an end. I don't know. I mean, you can look at the AL and do you really get excited or scared of any team that's among those that are hovering around 500 right now? I mean, I really don't.
No,
that's
agree.
why I think, like, if the Tigers do make the playoffs, it's a great story, but it's not like a 2024 where it came out of nowhere. This year, it was foreseeable, whereas 2024 it was totally unforeseeable.
Not many people would want to play them. Great stuff. Always want to read your stuff. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend, my friend. We appreciate the insight.
All right. Thanks a lot, Shep. I appreciate it.
All right. Evan Woodbury, Detroit Tigers beat writer for MLive.com. Do we have time for the final results, Andy?
We sure can do that.
Who's a bigger threat in the ALC to the Tigers? That's the Mitchell Lions poll question. Cleveland or Chicago? What do people say?
The White Sox 57% and Cleveland 43%. So they're both pretty equal. Probably
a little surprising.
The White Sox having the lead is what probably is.
Okay. And how did your daily wager do last night? What do you got for the weekend?
We had to fit that in there. So still, I picked the Tigers to win last night, thinking Fromber backed me up. He didn't. We're going to go with golf. Obviously, this weekend we got the TPC Southwind, St. Jude FedEx Championship. I'm just doing a bet for tonight or for today. The round is just getting going. I'm going to pick Justin Thomas to finish in the top 20. They're giving him today, like after this first round, they're giving him plus 120 odds, and last year he won. So
you're not picking Pierce and Cootie, who's 1 under already. That's surprising.
I'm not. That's cheating.
Our thanks to Jim Miller, Todd Haley, Evan Woodbury, but most of all to you for your input. Always appreciate it. Have a great Tullymore Thursday. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock. Check out the Huge Show from 3 until 6 later today on these same great station affiliates.
In the den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. These games against Cleveland and then Chicago this weekend are filled with suspense and energy. They have a playoff-like feel, don't they? Much has been made of the Tigers' division-leading run-scoring differential, and a recent difference maker has been the guy many have kicked around for a while, Spencer Torkelson. He has the 5th best batting average in the American League over the last 12 games. He has 20 homers, 21 doubles, and 62 RBIs. Just the 3rd